There's questions circling around our EMS system at the airport. There's been some slow response rates for some incidents. Can you update us on the closest station and some, the proximity issues that we may be having with our EMS service system?
Again, good morning, Mr. Chair. This is Bibi Adari, General Manager at Atlanta Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Very good. And so, so there's a lot of discussion outside of the Department of Aviation as surrounding Fire Station 32, which was located on the north end of Concourse T. That fire station was an augmented fire station. First and foremost, the airport has what we call FAR Part 139 index requirement to provide airport rescue and firefighting capability to the airport for aircraft operations. We have 4 fire stations that are located in certain geographic location to meet the minimum standard of 3 minutes response time from the time we received an emergency alert that an aircraft has declared an emergency. So we are well within our minimum standard capability. As a matter of fact, we strive not to maintain minimum standard, but far exceed the the industry minimum standard. The 5th fire station 32, prior to the 5th runway, was built to support that ARF index requirement. When we built the 5th runway to meet that minimum standard and exceed that standard, we built a 5th fire station. So right now, geographically, we only needed 4 fire stations to meet the federal mandated requirement. Fire Station 32, many years ago, as we were planning and designing for the expansion of the airport to add additional gates, it was determined that Fire Station 32 was in a location that it has to be removed, demolished to make room for those 5 gates expansion. And instead of making the decision and, just let's say that we do not need that 5th fire station, we are meeting our minimum capability. A couple of years ago, I had some in-depth discussion with then Fire Chief Randall Slaughter and his senior team, and we agreed to, after much analysis was done on the location of Fire Station 32 and where the ideal location to rebuild that fire station, we determined an ideal location that are just a few seconds away from where the existing Fire Station 32 would have been located. So in terms of our response time, when the new Fire Station 32 does come online, it will not diminish our response capability for our secondary function, and that is EMS service to the thousands of travelers that come through the airport. In the past many months, there were 2 incidents that generated a lot of discussion and a lot of attention. One was a 911 call that came in for a patron that at the time was thought to be suffering from cardiac arrest in one of our parking lots. It is not about the response time to get to the parking lot. It is the team that responded to that 911 call got disoriented and took extra or long time to reach that patient, to make patient contact. So it was not about the location of our station or where they were reporting from. It's just purely and simply they got lost. Having done the forensic analysis of that response, there were a number of procedures that were put in place by the fire chief here at the airport to rectify and correct that issue, and a lot of training was done with the fire team here to ensure that they're familiar with the entire campus. The second incident that happened a few weeks ago, where a 911 call came into our dispatch center of a customer injuring herself at the main security checkpoint. It is not about the response time. Again, when the call came in, patient contact was made by our EMS team within minutes. The issue was the availability of transportation. The airport currently has 5 fully equipped ambulances. 2 of those ambulances were sent to the shop to be retrofit, new mounts, and because of the age of those ambulances, we want to make sure that we have reliable transportation services here. We were told at the time when those 2 ambulances went into the shop that it will only take 90 days to get it back in service. However, because of the disruption of the supply chain, we were informed that it would take 180 days to get those ambulances back. Once we were informed of that, the Deputy Fire Chief Airport Section start looking for availability of ambulances in the market to rent. We are currently onboarding 2 additional ambulances here at the airport to bring our level back to minimum, to the standard that we have established of 5 ambulances. But at the time of this incident, of the 3 ambulances that we have available, 2 were already in transport service, meaning they were transporting patients to local hospital. The 3rd ambulance was held in reserve for those type of high priority, such as if a patient is suffering from a heart attack and stuff, to use that ambulance as an emergency transport. For this particular incident, we called upon a contracted ambulance service. An ambulance was dispatched to the airport, but on the way to the airport, the ambulance was redirected to a higher priority call. We then called upon mutual aid support, and there were no ambulances no ambulances were available to dispatch to the airport. Medical service was rendered to the patient. It was determined that it was non-life threatening, and so the patient was held at the location, albeit it took an extraordinary long time to get transportation services to the patient. Unacceptable from our perspective. So the Deputy Fire Chief again have reviewed that. We are onboarding additional transportation services here at the airport. We expect 1 ambulance should arrive, if not 2, by Friday of this week to augment our existing fleet. So it's not about Fire Station 32. It's about the availability of transport in the second incident. And the first incident, it was the issue of finding that patient. Now, Fire Station 32, after it was decommissioned, we are building a new fire station. That fire station construction has started. We have done a lot of simulation to determine response time. The fire chief here has taken quite proactive actions in that because of the incident in the parking lot, we are moving forward to hire an entire cadre of dispatcher who are certified to do emergency medical dispatching and also provide EMS service to the caller. That's the first thing we have done. We have augmented, and this started a couple of years ago. We created 30 additional EMS positions, civilian positions, that we will deploy throughout the airport as mobile medic teams to maintain that quick response to any medical calls that come into our 911 dispatch center. We want this team to have patient contact within seconds, not minutes. We have up to 5 ambulances that will be that are on hand, capable to provide us adequate transport service. All of our apparatus are undergoing ALS certification. And so as we look at those ALS certifications to augment our mobile response medic team along with our ambulance team to provide the highest level of EMS service to the customer traveling through this airport. And so that's where we are at, Mr. Chair.
Okay, so just a quick catch up. One corrective action sounds like don't allow all our vehicles to go to service. You know, I mean, but you had 3 because 2 were out getting serviced in ambulances. So I think there may be some corrective actions there to just stagger that. And it sounds like as long as we keep our equipment up, and well, let me get your response on that. Is that something you guys are?
The 3 ambulances that were in service, 2 were already transporting. You always, based on an expert opinion, you always want a transport available. The 3rd ambulance that was in reserve, that was reserved for a higher priority type medical call. For example, if somebody is in cardiac arrest, you do not want to delay this transport of that individual. So a call that comes in that is of a non-life-threatening situation will be of a lower priority for once it's triaged for transportation. So you always want to have an available transportation equipment available for those highest priority. And fortunately that we did that because while the ambulance was in reserve, we received a call, I think, of a person who was thought to be in cardiac arrest on an arriving flight. And so those are the type of things that we need to have just in time equipment available to conduct transportation or to transport to local hospital. Unfortunately, as I said, of our 5 ambulances, although we have 3, we thought the 2 that we put out of service for retrofit would have been returned to us within 90 days, but that was not the case. As a matter of fact, the time was doubled because of the disruption of parts getting to the dealer to retrofit those ambulances.
Okay. All right. Good deal. All right. Thank you. Thank you for responding and staying on this call till the end to respond to that. I appreciate it, and keep me posted on how we're doing out there.
Thank you, sir.